Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Janet Yong, and in my channel, I share about Feng Shui, Bazi, entrepreneurship as well as personal growth, especially in the areas of motivation, communication, and success. In today's episode, I'll be sharing about Feng Shui for abundance. Last week, we talked about Feng Shui for abundance from the wealth perspective, and in today's episode, I'll be sharing more from the perspective of health. So without further ado, let's move on to the next segment. If we were to look at Feng Shui for abundance from the health perspective, we need to examine it from three aspects. The first aspect is basically that of physical health, and the second is from mental health perspective, and the third, spiritual health perspective. So when we talk about Feng Shui for abundance, why did I say health is crucial? If you remember when I shared last week about wealth, that if you do not have good health, be it physically, mentally, you will generally not be happy, and therefore the energy flow from a wealth perspective may not necessarily be there. If you had missed last week's episode, please click on the link that I'm showing here so that you can watch last week's episode. Now, for today's episode, we are basically going to focus on health like I mentioned earlier on. When we talk about good health from a physical perspective, from a Feng Shui perspective, it is good to then focus on sleeping in a room with permanent good stars. Now, what are the good stars? Good stars can be the current period 8 mountain relationship and health star, which will appear in a natal chart's top left hand side. Or we can also look at it from a heaven luck number 6 perspective, or a number 4 perspective in terms of the mountain star. If you do not know how to identify your home's natal flying star chart, you can click on this video that I'm showing here, where I discuss about how to identify the natal flying star chart of your home. Besides really looking at the permanent flying stars within your home, the other aspect that is crucial is we really need to ensure that you sleep in an annual good flying star sector. Now, what are these stars? Like I mentioned earlier on, it will be the number 1, number 6, number 4, and number 8. Now, what are the afflicted stars that we need to be careful of? Especially if you have a clash within your charts that shows that maybe there's some of the health perspective you need to take care of, or you have a family member that is more elderly, then it is crucial that you protect your elderly family member from the afflicted flying star energies. Now, what are these afflicted flying star energies? We are talking about the energies of number 2, illness star, and number 5, especially misfortune star, or the 5 yellow star for the year. Usually, because these 2 stars are of the earth element itself, we will usually utilize more of the metallic items, the colors of white, because over the years of practice, I find that whether you believe in symbols or not believe in symbols, the earth element stars become very strong when they are in a earth sector. For instance, the south sector, the northeast sector, the southwest sector itself. Therefore, by having more metal elements, you can basically suppress or reduce the element's energy itself, or using white color bed sheets, for instance. If you'd like to know more about this year's afflicted stars and where they are and how you can protect yourself, you can click on this link where I shared earlier on in my 2021 forecast series what you can do. The third that I found very crucial is not to disturb certain sectors each year, and these are what we call the Tai Shui sector, which for 2021 is in the Northeast 1 sector. The second one is the tree killing sector, which is in the East in 2021, and also the misfortune 5 yellow sector, and in 2021 is in the Southeast. So please make sure you do not do major knocking, cutting, drilling in these sectors in 2021 if you want to have good health. You want to ensure that 2021 is a smooth year for you. Now, what about the fourth part in terms of physical health? The fourth one is, like I mentioned, always watch out for the poison arrows or the sharp corners when you are sleeping, especially in your bedroom. And why is this the case? Because you do spend time lying down in bed and sleeping for at least a straight 6 to 8 hours. So the energy, if either directly above you or at the corner of you with the poison arrow hitting you, will usually cause you major stress, major headaches, or major aches in your body. If you would like to find out more about this, you can click on the video that I'm showing here, which is about bedroom feng shui, where I share tips on what you should be watching out for and how you can protect yourself in your bedroom from potential poison arrows. So far, I have covered the 4 aspects of physical health that we should be looking at. And let me summarize. Number 1 is sleep in a permanent natal star flying chart area. 2 is watch out for where are the afflicted energies for the year and then protect yourself against it. The third one is basically making sure that you do not disturb the 3 key areas, which is the Tai Shui area or Grandeur area, the 3 killings, as well as the 5 yellow area for the year by knocking, drilling or renovating in these areas. And the 4th is watching out for poison arrows that may cause stress and ill health when you sleep in your bedroom for a straight 6 to 8 hours. Now, the next aspect that I'd like to talk about from a health perspective is that of mental health. Now, mental health is crucial nowadays, especially when we are living in an environment where constantly we are bombarded with messages on social media, or because we have to work from home, we have to juggle between family duties as well as work duties. So mental stress is becoming a huge issue that a lot of people are looking at. And when we look at it from a Bazi chart perspective, we normally will go through significant mental stress because when we go through a period of clash, harm or punishment. If you would like to find out about these aspects and how to examine it from your chart, you can click also on the video that I'm showing here to find out a little bit more. All the links to the video that I mentioned earlier on will be placed in the video description. If you would like to, you can go to the video description and revisit or watch this video so that you have a better idea of when you might be going through a clash, a punishment or a harm period that may cause you a lot more mental stress. Now, when you're going through this particular period, or especially when your chart has a lot of water element or wood element, you would want to be very careful and not spend too much time in the flying star area for the year where the number 3 star is, because it can cause a little bit more aggressiveness and anxiety, or in the number 7 star sector, which can cause us to be a little bit more aggressive. Now, if you understand flying star and you do know that, for instance, your home's flying star in your bedroom has got the number 3, and if the number 7 arrives there, it is crucial that you control, because a 3-7 combination can cause fights, can cause police cases and legal court issue cases. And basically the best solution to resolve 3-7 is generally, if you can, to avoid that sector itself. If not, then because of the elements of 3 and 7, what I find quite useful is utilizing a lot of red, because the fire element may help with suppressing the number 3 wood and number 7 metal element itself. The next thing that you need to look at from a mental health perspective is definitely looking out for some of the poison arrows within your room that can cause an issue. Generally, what happens is, if your mental health and wellness is not taken care of, you will over a period of time experience significant stress such that it impacts your physical health. So to me, both mental health and physical health is closely related. So knowing your Bazi chart, when there might be potential areas, taking note of where you should be spending your time for the year and not disturbing the sectors that should not be disturbed would be crucial in balancing all these out. And the last one, which is spiritual health. When we talk about spiritual health, what does it generally mean? Now, spiritual health is not really telling you to be extremely religious or extremely devoted to any particular faith that you have or being overly superstitious. When I talk about spiritual, it's basically understanding that there are energies that are just out of the human realm. As I mentioned in many of my videos, we are made up of all vibrational energies. Why do we get impacted by Feng Shui energies? And at times, you say things or you do certain things because of your gut feeling. All these can be about spiritual well-being. And in a lot of the Western world, they may call it mindfulness. So what is really mindfulness? What is really about spiritual awareness? It's really understanding that besides human beings on earth, there could be energies in the universe. Like I mentioned, when you focus on positive thinking, sometimes the energy exchange and wealth and abundance flow come in. And where do these come from? This comes from outside of us, correct? So that's what I meant in terms of being aware that we as human beings are not maybe the only beings around. That at times, if we are looking at attracting wealth, attracting abundance, we need to emit the right kind of vibrations for those positive vibrations to return back to us, just like when we talk about wealth. When we talk about health, then it's really about not worrying about the past, not worrying about the future, but generally focusing on the present. Now, why do I say that? And why is it important moving forward? In a lot of videos, I shared that we're going to move towards period 9 in the year 2024. And if you were to look at it, a lot of the changes or the crises that are going to come, and right now we're in the midst of one, which is the COVID pandemic, which has not even ended. So the shift in the energies are moving away from what I mentioned from period 6, 7, and 8, from the focus on money, material wealth, as well as profit from a company's perspective, to a lot about purpose. Now, this is the huge shift in energies around us, and if we as human beings do not align, then there will be a lot of internal struggle. If we're going to shift from profit to purpose, then at times, by focusing on what we have right now, focusing at the present moment in time, and just being grateful for what we have, will bring you a lot more happiness. And period 9 is really about the fire element, which is also about happiness. And happiness, to me, it's not about just achieving a goal. Happiness is that momentary feeling that you feel when you go through something, when you achieve certain things, and the goalposts can change all the time. So when you're looking at being healthy from a spiritual perspective, just by focusing at the moment, especially when you're going through a lot of emotional trauma, you can then find a lot more peace, like how I taught you about the breathing meditation, which I shared earlier on in another episode. I've uploaded another video on calming meditation music that you can utilize. So if you have missed that episode, I'm clicking on the link right now, or you can find the link in the video description on how you do breathing meditation to help you stay focused in the moment. And how do you do that? Let me just go through with you. Breathing meditation is nothing than just focusing at the present moment in time. It is basically just focusing on your breathing in and out. So you can count 6 counts of breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 8 counts breathing out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or in any alternate counts, whether it's 6 counts in, 8 counts out, or 4 counts in, 6 counts out, up to you. So by basically slowing down, focusing on your breath, then likelihood you will be not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, but focusing at the present moment itself. This has helped me tremendously in the past decade in terms of focusing my mind, or whenever I get through stress moments, to be able to focus on the moment, be grateful for what I have, and therefore you will then enjoy abundance, not necessarily just from a health perspective, whether it's spiritual, physical, or mental, but because you are in a calmer state of mind, wealth naturally comes to you a lot easier because you're more focused. Another method that have been helpful for my family members and my clients is for those who are very active in their thinking and their mind cannot stop thinking at all, which then cause them problems in terms of sleeping or not being able to focus on the task at hand. What they do is normally to count from 64 backwards to 1. The mere act of counting from 64 to 1 actually helps them. And another method which I covered in an earlier video is basically the Chinese metaphysics art of 奇门遁甲, where each of us will generally have a guardian, and then we can tap on the guardian direction, sit, do this breathing meditation that I taught earlier on, or count 64 to 1 to help them focus. So I'll cover the different guardians in a separate video coming up in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, I hope you have enjoyed my sharing. Let me just repeat from a spiritual perspective. What can you do to have good spiritual health? One is to focus in the present moment, because by focusing on the present moment, you do not worry about the future, do not dwell too much on what happened to you in the past. And because you're focusing on the moment, it's easier for you to be grateful and therefore have gratitude and find happiness, which is then aligning us towards the period 9 energies itself. Here we have it. I've covered 3 different aspects of Feng Shui for abundance, for health in this particular episode, namely physical health. The second one is mental health, and the third, spiritual health. I hope you have enjoyed my sharing, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.